This video was made possible by our Patreon supporters. As a country on the threshold of NATO and certain threats, the Polish tank force is a curious case of East meets West. They've largely adopted Western practice in terms of unit organization, but still operate an eclectic mix of German Leopard 2s, 80s vintage T-72 M1s, and indigenously upgraded PT-91 TO&Es. However, Poland will also be procuring 250 Abrams SEP V3s by 2026. This means Poland will not only be the first European operator of the Abrams, but also one of the first to operationally field the Trophy Active Protection System. At the same time, they seemingly still intend to field a new main battle tank through their Wilk program, separate from the off-the-shelf Abrams procurement. It could all be a little confusing for anyone from a country that fields only one model of MBT, so in this episode, we'll be going over Poland's tank force, how it's changing, and what geopolitical developments may have led to it. First, let's take it to the map. The Polish land force has 4 maneuver divisions, each with a varying number of tank battalions. The 11th Armored Cavalry in the southwest, the 18th Mechanized in the southeast, the 16th Mechanized in the northeast, and the 12th Mechanized in the northwest. Relative to current-day threats, the 18th and 16th can be seen as Poland's forward divisions, garrisoned the closest to hostile countries. The 16th Division has 3 maneuver brigades, the 9th Armored Cavalry Brigade, which has 2 PT-91 TO&E tank battalions, and the 15th and 20th Mechanized Brigades, which each have 1 TO&E battalion. Its 15th Brigade also operates with NATO's Polish Battle Group, led by a squadron from the US 2nd Stryker Cavalry Regiment. These brigades are garrisoned almost directly on the border with Russia's exclave of Kaliningrad. If Russia hypothetically made a push through the Baltics or from northern Belarus, the 16th Division would likely be the first engaged. With regard to the PT-91, it's a 1990s modernization of the T-72 M1 that's roughly equivalent to the Russian T-72B. In short, they're not ideal. There is some logic in putting them this close to Russia though. The protected direct fire support of the PT-91 is still useful for infantry in a defensive posture. Employing older tanks in this manner could be used to fix an attacking enemy force in place, allowing more capable armored units to retain their freedom of maneuver and counterattack. The 18th Mechanized Division is one of these more capable forces, at least on paper. Its 3 brigades are arrayed in Warsaw's east and near the southeast border. The 1st Warsaw Armored Brigade fields 2 battalions of Leopard 2s, mainly Leopard 2 A5s acquired in 2014, and Leopard 2 PLs, which are recently modernized 2 A4s. Its 19th Mechanized and 21st Rifle Brigades, meanwhile, each field a battalion of T-72 M1s, Poland's oldest tank. However, the 18th is the newest division, having just been formed in 2018, and thus isn't completely fleshed out. Moving west, the 11th Armored Cavalry Division has been the traditional hub of Polish-NATO armored cooperation. It could be considered the Army's heavy operational reserve. Since it's far away from the most likely threat, it theoretically retains the freedom of movement to reinforce wherever it may be most decisive. Initially, its 10th and 34th Armored Cavalry Brigades were the only to field the Leopard 2, in addition to other support vehicles purchased from the Germans. Leopards were originally introduced in 2002, just 3 years after Poland became a full member of NATO. The goal was to increase interoperability and allow Poland to easily form joint battle groups with the Germans. For example, during Exercise Allied Spirit 22 earlier this year, the German 401st Panzer Grenadier Battalion was directly reinforced by a Polish Leopard A2 company from the 1st Battalion, 10th Armored Cavalry. However, there were concerns that the 34th Brigade in particular had serious readiness issues. Polish High Command questioned keeping the country's most modern tanks far away from the immediate threat. The fear was deep preparatory strikes could debilitate the infrastructure necessary to get those tanks to the front. Allied armored forces in Poland were heavily bolstered in 2017 when the US began stationing a rotational armored BCT near the 11th Division's HQ, and the US is further prepositioning an armored brigade's worth of equipment in Poland to reduce emergency deployment times from up to 60 days to as few as 4. This likely freed up Poland to transfer its most modern Leopard 2A5s to the 18th Division in the east, currently leaving the 11th Armored Cavalry with 2 battalions of Leopard 2A4s and 1 battalion of T-72 M1s for each of the other 2 brigades. To round off the current state, the 12th Mechanized Division in the Northwest is part of NATO's Multinational Corps Northeast, which coordinates the actions of enhanced forward presence battle groups in the Baltic region via regional brigades. The division also focuses on the defense of Poland's coastline. It only has 1 tank battalion under its 2nd Mechanized Brigade, which is equipped with PT-91s. But with the introduction of the Abrams, the Poles are going to be shifting around their tanks. The new Abrams SEP V3s are destined for the 18th Mechanized Division in the southeast, with 3 battalions going to the 1st Armored and 1 battalion going to the 19th Mech Brigade by 2026. The 21st Rifles, who are a lighter mountain infantry unit, will lose their tank battalion. As the SEP V3 is the newest variant of the Abrams in active service, the 18th Division will arguably have Poland's most capable armor for the time being. The 18th Division's 2 Leopard 2A5 battalions will be transferred back to the Western 11th Division's 34th Brigade, and its 2 T-72 battalions will be made redundant. At the same time, the Poles are in the process of upgrading their 90s vintage Leopard 2A4s to the 2PL standard. This means after the Abrams is introduced, the Polish army will have 1 division equipped with Leopard 2A5s and 2PLs, 1 division with Abrams, and 2 divisions with PT-91s. These last TO&Es will be the target for Poland's Wilk program, which is meant to be a longer-term, advanced MBT solution. Unlike the Abrams procurement, which was largely discretionary with a quick turnaround, the Wilk program is meant to be more bespoke, with a proper tender process and the potential for domestic production. The most talked about contender is the South Korean K2PL tailor-made for Polish army requirements. However, the effect fielding the Abrams and America increasing its armor commitments in Poland will have on the program is uncertain. Now that you have an understanding of Poland's overall tank force, let's take a look at their tactical organization. As with every tank unit, the base of it all is the main battle tank. In Leopard 2 units and future Abrams units, tanks have 4 crew members: a commander, gunner, loader, and driver. However, units equipped with the TO&Es or T-72s have 3 crew due to the autoloaders. Regardless of tank model though, platoons consist of 4 tanks divided into 2 sections. 1 under the platoon commander and the other under their deputy, pretty much mirroring an American tank platoon for example. 3 tank platoons grouped together constitute a tank company, in addition to a company headquarters. That headquarters has 2 tanks for the company commander and their deputy, for a total of 14 tanks in the company, as well as 2 utility vehicles, either Polish honkers or in the case of Leopard battalions, Mercedes G-Wagons, as well as 2 cargo or maintenance trucks, usually the Polish Star 266M, or Mercedes trucks in Leopard units. Each company is supported by an armored recovery team, equipped with the Panzer II in Leopard units, WZT-2s in T-72 units, and WZT-3s in TO&E units. Overall though, this company is a clear departure from the Soviet way of doing things and pretty well aligned to Western practice, with 4 tanks per platoon and an organic company train. Above the company, the tank battalion consists of a command company, 4 tank companies, a logistics company, and a medical support team. The HQ, which in addition to command APCs has 2 tanks, 1 for the commander and 1 for the deputy. So in total, the battalion is meant to have 58 tanks. Tank battalions coexist in their brigades with either 1 or 2 mechanized infantry battalions equipped with BWP-1s, the Polish designation for the heavily aged BMP-1 infantry fighting vehicle. Depending on the situation, they will either be supported by or support the mechanized infantry, in addition to artillery observers, engineers, logisticians, and anti-aircraft assets. They do this within the context of combined arms battalion task forces organized at the brigade level. If you want to learn how other countries do that, check out this look at how the US Army forms combined arms tank battle groups. We'll see you over there.